Garden Warfare, a popular video game developed by PopCap Games and published by Electronic Arts. It's part of the larger Plants vs. Zombies franchise and is a beloved game that captures the imagination of millions of people. It is by far one of the games with good communities, and it is no surprise that there are people who will want to take advantage and power from this. In this video, I will cover the origins of these hackers and how they got to power, which led to one of the biggest account ban crises in Garden Warfare history, which could have destroyed Garden Warfare 2 as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how hackers almost ruined the game. To fully understand the scope of the situation, we have to go to the complete beginning. More and more, ever since the 80s, from kids to teens, video games have been a big part of our entertainment. And amongst many, it is no surprise that through these communities, there are people filled with jealousy and hate, or even sometimes with more aggressive and more mattered and dangerous tendencies, and will do anything to get what they want. However, this wouldn't be the case, as the person behind this had greater intent to use this type of power, which we'll get later on. But now, let's get to the main part of how this all escalated. Garden Warfare, largely favored a game with it reaching 1,000 plus players each day, does not take a moral compass to understand that there are degenerates like this in the game. So then, how did this happen? Well, as I said, the person who had created these dangerous tools had very great intent. However, we still do not know how these tools were created, but what we do know is the way of how this happened. Well, so how did this started? Well, this all started when a person called Near, who was using these tools respectively by banning hackers, toxic players, and a lot more degenerates like this off the game. However, eventually the cracks opened and his tools got stolen with an empty promise that they will not get leaked, which now leads us to the next chapter. When we think of betrayal, we would think of an active violation of a person's trust or confidence of a moral standard, etc. Well, this is not the only case, as this time, these people betrayed not only the first person who used them with good intent, but as well as these hackers also started to use them on innocent YouTubers, such as the most popular case with Fuge.
Hey, I have been banned on Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. There's probably a lot of questions, and I do want to make this video to pretty much just clear the air. This ban was unjust. I have done nothing to deserve a ban. I've never cheated and never will cheat. The only mods that I use are purely cosmetic mods. If I ever use any different kind of mods, they will only be in private match. I've never cheated online once. This ban is completely unjust.
So then making another empty promise that they would not ban innocent players, which, as you guessed it, hundreds of accounts got deleted because of a typical excuse of them just being better at them. But now, I know you might ask, of how did these tools even got to the general public? Well, lucky for you, I'm about to tell you of how did this rat trap even got created. On YouTube, there are many videos out there with different topics. Whether it's a cooking video, media, or maybe even gaming videos, whatever your heart desires. However, unfortunately, there are also videos of these exact ban tools. Well, remember the time I talked about these types of degenerates leaking these tools? Well, this is the gold mine of leaking them, and the saddest part is that these tools, these videos, spreads out daily like a cancer. With power-hungry individuals like these people, it is no surprise that this will not stop, as EA had stopped developing on this game and giving it little to no care at all. However, this story doesn't just have a bad side of things, as the community did take action for this, which we are going to talk about right now. The damage was already done, with many innocent people starting to get banned. They started to beg EA to fix this situation. Shockingly, PopCap, the developers of this game, did respond to this by saying that they will investigate this situation, which didn't help that much at all. This all got to the point where the community had enough of this, to then started to fix this in their own hands, with the tactics of making mods or even plugins that could have at least have a chance of softening the chances of getting banned. Remember the time I talked about Nier? Well, he also wanted to fill up the cracks he has made by making a mod that prevents people from seeing other people's usernames. With all the battle and begging EA to fix this situation, shockingly, after weeks of battle, EA finally responded again with a message that they will finally start investigating and fixing this situation. And finally, after weeks of suffering, weeks of fear, the situation was finally fixed with a better anti-cheat. However, with the ban tools still being able to function, the war between the hackers was finally over, since the people started to get unbanned with getting all their characters back and the anti-cheat becoming way more safer. The situation of Garden Warfare 2 is a whole rabbit hole itself, and a person with common sense can acknowledge that fact. But now, I know that some people may be asking of how are other people affected by it. Well, we're about to find it out, as the following testimonies are from actual people who I interviewed of how these players are affected by it.
I changed my username, I changed my profile picture, my name, to something I'm not going to spoil because otherwise I'm gonna be dead. And yeah, right now I'm just gonna do all the things that are offline because you can still play the game, like play the story mode and be fine. They need your your ID, and I would actually recommend you change your ID and you change your ID quick.
What are your thoughts on this hacker situation? Like, tell me
It's
about it.
absolute bull. They need to fucking fix it. Like, how can your anti-cheat be so bad that it bans people because the hacker is able to mess its own anti-cheat? Like, you must have that's like, it's just dog shit. Like, how did it happen? There's a very high possibility. I'm just playing it because I'd rather just risk it and play it. As long as I don't play good characters, somebody said, you should be good. And I'm just playing the event with all the legendaries, so.
Whereas I know that some people might be asking and might think that all they needed to do is unban the players, and this would be the end of the story, right? Well, no. As in the next chapter, we would talk about how these bans was quite unique of itself. As I said in the previous chapter of how these ban tools were quite unique of itself, well, this is the chapter where we talk about it. So, here's how they functioned. In Garden Warfare, the maximum level you can get your character in the game is level 11. However, the way of how these tools worked is that once the hacker would get the player's username, all they needed to do is go to their account site and set all of their characters' levels to impossible amounts. The way of how this worked is that the algorithm in multiplayer is able to see this as a threat, forcing the game to kick the player out of multiplayer with no chances of getting back, as this is a very effective tactic. The reason why is because the computer has no information that the player is even banned in the first place, which pretty much meant that there is nothing much they can do. But thankfully, thanks to the community, thanks to EA, and even Nier, thanks to all of the efforts being put in the barrel to fix and destroy these hackers, Garden Warfare is finally a safe place to find friends and interact. I care about this situation, and a lot. And the sad reality is that there will still be power-hungry, degenerate individuals like this, and I'm glad that this situation is all finally over. However, as I said, these ban tools are still fully functional and available and accessible at the moment, and still usable. However, the chances of you getting banned and completely losing your account is near to impossible. Now, I don't have the experience of running a multi-billion-dollar company, so I have no business to tell what to do, but I do have some suggestions of what you can do to lower the chances of getting banned. 1. Regularly change your account details. As I said, the only way how you can get targeted is if they know your username. Changing it at least once or twice a week can help you prevent this issue. 2. If you're seeing a ban occurring, do not be afraid to report them as much as you can. Because the more you report them, the more cleaner the environment will be, and the more friendlier Garden Warfare will become. 3. If the game is on sale, just expect that a lot of new players will also want to try out and abuse this new power. However, don't be so afraid of this situation, as the player needs actual knowledge to make these tools function, which does take a bit of time to learn. By the way, I also tried to contact Fuge about this situation, and as notably, he didn't respond. And at the end of the day, the story also tells us a big advice. That is that no matter how low are the chances, how low are the boundaries, inside us resides the power to grow these boundaries and empower the chances to reach the tops. In simpler words, that will be never give up. But yeah, I really hope you enjoy this video, and hopefully I see you guys next time.
Like and subscribe. In the next 5 seconds, I'll nuke your entire house. That is totally not clickbait. If you don't like and subscribe to Switch that and the host of No Petal will help make this video, else you
Thank you.